In the 1980s, a Japanese movie called Kamada March was released in China, and the theme music of the movie was almost the same as the Old Folks Go to War. Perhaps they also used the melody of Italian opera. At that time, some people also talked about this matter, saying how this anti-Japanese song had become the theme song of a Japanese entertainment movie and feeling puzzled. For this reason, I also wrote a short article about Old Folks Go to War, which was published in the Beijing Music Life newspaper. Once the war service troupe in Linfen Township for the folks to perform a program, the stage 3 actors are playing music, Secker playing the 3 strings. Mouth also smoked a cigarette, only to see him suddenly foaming at the mouth and fainted on the stage. The folks under the stage do not know what happened. The scene was a mess. The announcer told everyone, "Folks, don't panic. Just now our actor was poisoned by smoking Toyo brand cigarettes and needed immediate medical attention." Then someone used a stretcher to carry Secker away from the stage. Someone on the stage shouted, "Toyo brand cigarettes are poisonous. Boycott Japanese goods." The townspeople have also discussed, there are people from the coat pocket out of the Toyo cigarettes thrown on the ground with their feet trampled to pieces. After Secker was carried away on a stretcher, calm was restored to the stage, and the actors continued to perform a program of anti-Japanese propaganda. Father said, "Secker performed this show so realistically that the folks believed it, and it did play a role in boycotting Japanese goods. In fact, Secker's poisoning was faked, and he was soon moved to the next performance venue to continue playing the program of cigarette poisoning." In the winter of 1937, the Northwest Field Service Group moved from the Linfen front to Funglingdu, where my father and his comrades took part in carrying supplies and transferring the wounded. Funglingdu is the crossing point of the Yellow River, the north bank of which is Funglingdu in Shanxi Province, and the south bank of which is Tongguan in Shanxi Province. At that time, there was no bridge on the Yellow River, and people and supplies from both sides of the river relied on wooden boats to ferry them. Wounded soldiers evacuated from the front line of the war in Shanxi had to cross the river by boat from Funglingdu and were sent to Tongguan Field Hospital for treatment. My father and his comrades were busy on the ferry every day, loading and transferring the wounded soldiers evacuated from the front line to Tongguan. The shells and grenades that were urgently needed by the anti-Japanese front were then loaded and transferred to Funglingdu from the south bank of the river. Boats ferrying back and forth in the rapids of the Yellow River also encountered bombing and strafing by Japanese airplanes, and the ferries on which their fathers were riding to transfer wounded soldiers and supplies could be hit by bombs at any time, resulting in the destruction of the boats and the deaths of the men. Although my father had never really gone to war, he had experienced life and death in Funglingdu. As a patriotic literary youth, the only thing he can do is to record the resistance war in Funglingdu with songs and compose songs of Funglingdu for those heroic and fearless Yellow River boatmen with the tune of Tongguan Old Accent. One day, the field service group came to Tongguan Field Hospital to console the wounded, sick, and medical personnel. On the side of a small river, my father saw a group of female nurses washing bundles of blood-stained bandages and dirty clothes of the wounded in the cold river water. The nurses' spirit of hard work and endurance touched my father, and he immediately composed a song called Laundry Song for these white-clothed angels. The melody of the Laundry Song is in the key of European music. Not only is the melody beautiful, but the lyrics also sing of the determination of Chinese soldiers and civilians to fight against the Japanese together. The actors and actresses of the troupe sang this song on the stage that day. Later, my father also composed a number of anti-Japanese songs such as Blood and Flowers Song, March of Resistance, and The Great Victory of Taiyurzhuang. which had a great social impact at that time, and many old people who came from the war period still remember these songs. At the beginning of 1938, the Northwest Field Service Group was evacuated from Tongguan to Xi'an. Xiao Jun went to Yan'an alone, and my father stayed in Xi'an with Luo Shan and Xiao Hong. It was here that Xiao Jun and Xiao Hong, a couple of writers, were separated from each other and started different paths in life. The editor of Lanzhou's Battle Horn magazine, writer Bai Dui, writes a letter to Seker and my father in Xi'an, asking them to come to Lanzhou to carry out anti-Japanese salvation propaganda work in the Great Northwest. Psych, my father and Luo Shan met Zhu Xingnan, a stage lighting expert, and the four of them prepared to go to Lanzhou, but they were worried that they had no travel expenses. Xiao Jun, who has just returned from Yan'an, tells the group that Sheng Shichai, the governor of Xinjiang, has invited Yan'an to send someone to Xinjiang to organize a theater troupe, and that he is returning this time to go to Xinjiang. Xiao Jun settled for more than 100 yuan at the Xi'an Life bookstore, royalties from the countryside in August, and said to the group, "I have money here, let's go together." Father said, he also wants to go to Xinjiang, why don't we all go to Xinjiang together? In March 1938, my father and Luo Shan, Seker, Zhu Xingnan, and others left Xi'an in a big truck hauling goods under the leadership of Xiao Jun. When they arrived at Liupan Mountain in Ningxia, it was raining heavily, so the automobile they were traveling in could not continue up the mountain, so they stopped at a small town called Shangshangpu at the bottom of the mountain. This town is beside the Shanxi-Gansu Highway, which is the necessary route to Lanzhou. There was a carriage store in the town, and their party stayed here. Store is a woman opened. What is the name of the woman no one knows? Everyone called her Five Plum because she often headache on the forehead. This is the Northwest people used to cure the disease. Her forehead is always left with red marks. People gave her such a nickname, and her real name was forgotten. The next day it was still raining, and they still couldn't leave. Father heard the shopkeeper say, the boss's wife was a famous mountain singer in this area when she was young, so he went to find her, let her sing for the group. The boss's wife did not refuse, and came to the big room where they stayed in the evening. Growing up in the capital, my father didn't know much about pure mountain songs. The first song sung by Wu Du Mei was a small, funny song usually sung by the folk for springtime. People in the carriage store all laughed. When the Five Plums suddenly light up their voices for the second song, my father's mood was not overly shocked. It was a poignant song about traveling to the West. My father couldn't believe his ears. The emotion, the mood, and the moving voice of Five Plums made for a special moment. The song meant so much to my father that he didn't expect the folk songs of the Northwest to be so wildly charming, so musical and narrative. Five Plums stood beside their small inn and watched the people who had to leave their hometowns in order to make a living, carrying their luggage along this ancient and unchanging deserted road, walking tenaciously along this unpredictable road with the determination to change their destinies and their lives. Perhaps this is a road of no return. As she watches these pioneers walk into the unknown every day, Five Plums sings from the bottom of her heart her understanding and feelings about this life, which is sincere, bleak, and grand. Her expression is so genuine. Seker said, "Luobin, what more Paris? Listen to this song and don't go away." In the face of national tragedy, Paris was already a distant dream, while the Northwest flowers sung by the Five Plums were so real and exciting. Outside, the rain is getting heavier and heavier. My father lay on the grass of the inn and thought over and over again, Western songs are really more lyrical than Chinese songs. Where is the source of music? What kind of songs are the songs that Chinese people love to sing? And what kind of songs are good songs? After thinking about it, I answered myself firmly. The songs of Five Plum Blossoms are the most lyrical. The most precious thing about her songs is that they have a strong local flavor, and they have the feelings and narratives of her own life. This is the best song. The most beautiful melodies and the most beautiful folklore are found on the Loess Plateau. He suddenly moved in his heart. The great Northwest has the most beautiful song. The sky has my best song. I'm going to look for it.